It appears that history is on the brink of repeating itself once more, but this time, the sinister scheme has been foiled. Reflecting on the tragic fate of Thomas Sankara, who was betrayed and killed with the assistance of his once close ally, Blaise Compaore, by France, one cannot help but draw parallels to the recent events. Similar tactics, orchestrated by external forces, likely including France, were set in motion to topple President Traore. Thankfully, this nefarious plan was intercepted before it could unfold. What adds a chilling layer to this narrative is the central role played by the former Burkina Faso military junta, Henry Damiba, who had been ousted by Ibrahim Traore. However, the true extent of this conspiracy goes beyond a mere regime change. It aimed at plunging Burkina Faso into chaos and instability. The revelations that emerged from the investigations following the apprehension of the conspirators by Burkinabe forces are nothing short of shocking. They lay bare how certain individuals, even within Africa, contribute to the continent's woes. Recently, in a televised address, Burkinabe Minister of Security, Mohamed Ossani, divulged a meticulously crafted plan hatched by some of Burkina Faso's own citizens residing in neighboring nations such as Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Nigeria. It seems these people are not happy that President Traore is in power, and so they decided to put a plan that will remove him from power. According to the report given by the minister, the people involved in orchestrating this plot include some Burkinabe civilians, military personnel, and former military officials, all of whom are supported by Western intelligence agencies. Civil society actors and economic operators in Burkina Faso were also involved in the plot. The Burkinabe minister further revealed that several arrests have already been made and that the arrest took place in Niger. Among those individuals implicated in the plot was the former military junta of Burkina Faso, Henry Damiba, who was ousted from power in September 2022, as well as several prominent figures in Burkina Faso, including former ministers, journalists, and a former member of parliament. The calibers of people involved in this destabilization plot reveals how deep and wide the plot is. These people have been working behind the scenes for a while to remove President Traore from power and take over the country. The fact that the former military junta is involved in this plot makes it even more shocking, because when he was deposed by Traore, he seemed to have taken it gracefully and he stepped down quietly. But with his involvement in this plot, it seems that he still holds a grudge, and external governments took advantage of this to launch a plot that will destabilize the government. The Minister of Security also revealed that those arrested were interrogated deeply, and they provided crucial information about the depth of the plot and the plans carried out by those in the plot. Remember how recently Burkina Faso suffered from several attacks from jihadist groups, and how these jihadist groups were successful in their attacks? Well, those arrested revealed that those jihadist attacks were orchestrated by their group. According to them, it was part of their plans to contact terrorist groups and work with them to carry out violent attacks against civilians in government institutions. The shocking part is that the recent massacre in Barcelona, the town that houses the last standing military force between terrorist groups and the capital city, Ouagadougou, where more than 309 people were killed and many more injured, was part of their plot. But that's not all. The plotters also revealed that they planned to target the presidential palace, a drone site, the Ouagadougou airport, and military positions in Mangodara before they were caught. The Burkinabe military and the government of Ibrahim Traore have been stretched thin, working hard, and finding solutions to the terrorist problem, which has claimed thousands of lives. And yet, some Burkinabe citizens, military personnel, and politicians are behind the scene, destroying everything. These people deliberately contacted JNIM, one of the most dangerous terrorist groups that have been terrorizing the Sahel region for some years now, gave them information and helped them launch attacks against their own citizens, leading to the death of many and many more wounded. Their plan, no doubt, was to ensure that the terrorist attacks in Burkina Faso increase while Traore is in power, so that they can create the narrative that President Traore is not good enough to deal with the insecurity and should be removed from power. Now, even if Traore was a bad leader and does not deserve to rule Burkina Faso, it's collaborating with jihadist groups and killing civilians and soldiers the right way to remove him from power. Certainly not. However, their actions just shows how evil they are and reveals that they do not deserve to be leaders of the country. Indeed, anyone that can treat the lives of civilians and soldiers as inconsequential for his or her own personal interests does not deserve to be leaders. Fortunately, the authorities in Burkina Faso quickly caught on to the plot and arrested several of those people involved, leading to the dismantling of a significant portion of the plot. Currently, the government of Burkina Faso has launched a special anti-terrorist operation that will neutralize any remaining threat. The government has also warned that such destabilizing actions will no longer be tolerated and have urged families of the plotters to denounce them and distance themselves from their subversive activities. Imagine that the government of Burkina Faso did not quickly catch on to the plot. There is no doubt that those plotters would orchestrate and launch even more terrible attacks against civilians and the authorities. Their actions indicate that the problem of Africa is Africans. The life and death of Thomas Sankara, one of the greatest African leaders, is one good example. Thomas Sankara and Blaise Compaore were very good friends who worked together to take over power in Burkina Faso in 1983. The coup in Burkina Faso garnered widespread popular support, reminiscent of the one led by Ibrahim Traore. Traore's tenure ushered in a wave of radical transformations across Burkina Faso, leaving an indelible mark on the nation. Regarded as a phenomenal and incorruptible leader, Traore's legacy is one of commendable achievements. His governance was marked by substantial progress, widely acknowledged as a period of prosperity for Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara stands out as a luminary among African leaders, notably for achieving food self-sufficiency independently within a remarkably short span. Sankara's visionary initiatives encompassed groundbreaking social and economic reforms, setting a precedent unparalleled in the annals of African history. His resolute stance against corruption and his commitment to frugality were rare virtues in African leadership circles. It is beyond doubt that had Sankara's life not been cut short, Burkina Faso could have emerged as a beacon among African nations. However, forces opposed to such autonomous leadership and innovative thinking, liberated from Western influence, conspired to extinguish Sankara's light. The betrayal orchestrated by Sankara's closest confidant, Blaise Compaore, raises poignant questions. What motivations propelled Compaore to betray his friend? Was it fueled by envy, an aspiration to assume Sankara's mantle, or other clandestine desires that led to this tragic betrayal? Blaise, for whatever motivations he harbored, colluded with France to orchestrate a coup that culminated in the tragic demise of Thomas Sankara. The success of this coup was partly attributed to allegations leveled against Sankara, accusing him of human rights violations and stifling dissenting voices. The populace, swayed by these accusations, found credence in the coup plotters' narrative, as they had witnessed Sankara's crackdown on unions and the free press. However, what eluded many was the context in which Sankara's actions unfolded, a path trodden by numerous revolutionary leaders in the past. Leaders striving for monumental change often find themselves compelled to take measures that, though seemingly harsh, are deemed necessary to fulfill their transformative visions. Sankara's decision to curb unions, silence the free press, and eliminate obstacles to his grand designs for Burkina Faso stemmed from his unwavering commitment to revolutionize the nation. Unfortunately, amidst the accusations of human rights abuses, Sankara's noble intentions and remarkable achievements were overshadowed. This selective focus on perceived wrongs paved the way for the success of the coup. Subsequently, Blaise Compaore ascended to power, filling the void left by Sankara's untimely departure as the new leader of Burkina Faso. He spent the next 27 years being the president of Burkina Faso, destroying everything that Sankara had done. And of course, France hailed him as a democratic leader. It's the same tactic that wants to be applied in removing President Traore from power. You know, fighting insecurity is one of the major reasons Traore took over power. So, the plan was to make it seem as if Traore is not competent enough to deal with the insecurity by increasing the number of attacks launched against the country. If the destabilization plan was not exposed, a time will come when even the citizens of Burkina Faso that have pledged their support to President Traore would begin to withdraw their support, and that will be the time when those plotters orchestrate a coup that would remove Traore from power. Have you noticed the recent surge in attacks, specifically targeting the Burkinabe military? These assaults have resulted in the loss of numerous soldiers' lives and caused severe injuries. These orchestrated attacks were not merely aimed at inciting the civilian population against Traore's administration, but also at sowing dissent among the military ranks. By inflicting casualties on soldiers, the perpetrators sought to erode confidence in Traore's leadership, potentially inciting mutiny, as some soldiers might perceive his ability to defend and safeguard them as inadequate. Fortunately, Traore's government has discerned the underlying scheme and is actively engaged in efforts to identify and root out additional accomplices involved in these destabilizing acts. In the ongoing battle against those seeking to destabilize Burkina Faso, what further strategies could Traore employ to counter these threats effectively? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.